I am going to DNF a book before I even start it. Hey guys, welcome back to another Reading Week in Review. I have a lot of books to talk about this week, which is a really good thing because they're mostly good things. So let's just dive into the books to start. So, okay, I said they're mostly good things, but this first one is going to be not a good thing. I am going to DNF a book before I even start it. Now, a little bit of background here. First of all, the book is, what is this book called? The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. So on my TBR for September, this one came up. It was a significant other pick. I got my husband on, he picked this one out. Well, then it turns out this last week he needed a book to read, so I was like, well, you're kind of interested in this one, why don't you start it? So he started it, and he kept saying, like, these characters are not interesting to him, he's not, like, rooting for any of the characters, whatever. And then he said there's just, I can't remember how he worded it, but pretty much he DNF'd it, which he, like, never does. And so if he's going to do that, he totally told me why, and I'm totally blanking right now. And it was legit, and I feel like, well, then I don't need to waste my time on 600 plus pages of a book that is apparently not good. Yeah, so I'm going to DNF this one, which works out well for my September because I was running out of days to read the books on my TBR, and yeah. So then I don't even know. I bought this one and the next one, The Blinding Knife, I think is book number 2. I got those from the thrift store, and then I also got The Way of Shadows, which is a separate series of his. So I'm gonna like unhaul the ones in this series. But I'm wondering, do I try The Way of Shadows? Do I just leave him off as an author for me? If you've read his works, I would like to hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, I'm going to just leave this one. I'm not a huge, like, hardcore fantasy person anyway, so I'm not sad to cross this series off. Okay, now for the books that I actually did read. I finished 4 books this week, and I really liked all of them. I'm not going to, like, assign stars to my books until I do my wrap-up, because I feel like I often tend to overrate my books. I'll give them a higher rating, but I feel like I need them to sit for a bit before I can get like an official number rating for them. But yeah, let's just start with this first one here. This is The Rithmatist. This is Brandon Sanderson, and it's been classified, I've seen it both as middle grade and young adult. I feel like the first 3/4 is very middle grade. My almost 10-year-old would really enjoy it. And then the last quarter gets a little bit more intense, and I think like that part is YA. So I was originally thinking like, oh, maybe I should let her read this soon, but I think I'll wait a bit. Yeah, so this is kind of like steampunk. We have a world where there are some people that can do like some kind of magic. They can make chalklings. They're called Rithmatists. And this is kind of like a school setting where our main character is kind of an outcast for various reasons, and he just is not able to do the magic, but things go down, and he kind of like gets in the middle. He does feel fairly Harry Potter-esque in a lot of ways, but like the storyline, like the magic system is completely different. I really liked it. I thought this was originally supposed to be a standalone, but apparently I believe Sanderson has another one coming down the line. I went on his website a few months ago, and he's got a really good list of like which books he's working on in which order, and I do believe the second one for this was in there. Yeah, so I cruised through this one, really enjoyed it. I showed some of the insides, the different diagrams and stuff in my last video, but I really liked the addition of like the visual explainers of the things that are talked about in the book, and I really enjoyed this map. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. Okay, the next one. I don't even know what to say about it. Okay, Life of Pi. So I think I picked this one for my low star prediction. I really thought I was going to not enjoy it. Now, that is for 2 reasons. One, this book is very popular. I tend to not like popular books. Jared did a really good job the other day of saying something like, you know, if a book is popular among bookish people, that's a good thing. But if a book is popular among the general public, that's usually not a good sign. Like, if the general public thinks it's a good book, I generally don't. And I thought it was going to fall in that category. The second reason I was hesitant is because I did start the movie on a plane years ago, and I don't know why I stopped it. Boredom, possibly. Also, like, I just don't like movies. But I listened to this and quite enjoyed it. It felt very much like a combination of Robinson Crusoe and Unbroken. And then I got to the end and I was like, wait, what? And yeah, so I enjoyed this book a lot more than I thought I would. And thank you to those of you who were like pestering me to pick this book. Because I still don't know what I'm going to rate this, and I still don't really know what happened there at the end, but I enjoyed it. So yeah, there's that one. The next one I figured I would enjoy. I kind of assumed. This is Words on Fire. This is a middle grade YA historical fiction about back in, what did I say, 1850s or something, where 1890s, where Russia was kind of trying to take over Lithuania and burn their books and get rid of their language and pretty much just make everyone Russians. I did enjoy this book. I found the first part not as good as I was hoping, because our main character, I wasn't really rooting for her. She was very mosey in the beginning, very, like, her parents had these big secrets and she was always just trying to make peace and not stir the pot, which is fine. Like, that's a good thing. But that's not my personality. Like, if someone has a secret, and especially like my parents, I'd want to know about it. And so I kind of just felt like I wanted her to have a little bit more spunk, and she definitely gains that throughout the rest of the book. So that's good. I did tag a line here which I thought was interesting. It says, "How do you destroy a people? You take away their culture. And how is that done? You must take their language, their history, their identity. How do you do that?" I pressed my lips together, then looked up at her. "You ban their books." And I mean, I'm a bookish person. I don't want people banning all the books in my language. Yeah, so I quite enjoyed this one. And then the last one, this is Synapse. I found this one at the thrift store, didn't know anything about it, had just, I knew the author was a Christian author. I got some books of his from the library a while ago, but never actually got to them. So, I have this problem with Christian fiction, is they never categorize their books. The same thing with the book I'm currently reading. This is science fiction, I think maybe slightly dystopian. It's in a world where there are robots, and they've kind of just started in the last number of years having ones that have free will, and you can set their pain settings and all these different things. And this book touched on some interesting things, because I enjoy dystopian, but it's like, how do you incorporate God into dystopian books is often like a question I wonder about. And this book did a really good job covering that, I feel like, or not covering it, but like talking about it. I feel like it's kind of just like never talked about. It's kind of just, yeah, I guess never talked about. And this one robot in here questions like whether or not he can believe in God, like can he be saved? And I thought that was an interesting conversation to have. I did tag 2 parts in here. Oh, okay, yes. So this is, what year is this? 30 years from now, it says. This lady, they're kind of like thinking that she's maybe a little suspicious. She was one of the first responders at the scene of the bombing, and her purchase history includes hundreds of paper-bound books. I mean, like, if that doesn't make a person suspicious, I don't know what does. That part cracked me up. I like seriously laughed out loud. What else did I... Oh, yes, okay. So this one was really interesting to me. So our main character, her brother is an atheist, I believe, and so he was saying, in our culture, it isn't socially acceptable to be passionate. Oh, it's socially acceptable to be passionate about almost anything other than Jesus Christ. And she says, what do you mean by that? You can be passionate about gerbils wearing hats, about saving Arctic flows, about collecting purple rubber bands, whatever you want. But if it happens to be Jesus of Nazareth, you're in trouble. You'd be labeled a Jesus freak or a Bible thumper or a science denier or a fundamentalist and judged. Jesus, more than anyone else who's ever lived, really is the line in the sand. And I thought that was interesting because you can be passionate about gerbils wearing top hats. You can be passionate about purple rubber bands. And it's so true. Like, everyone is like tolerance for everything. You know, you gotta love everyone and be tolerant of everything. Except when it comes to Jesus, then they're like, no, no tolerance. Just Christians are evil. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this. I want to try more Stephen James. I don't know if this book is going to be a part of a series. It definitely feels like it could be, but yeah, I'd be interested in reading more of it. Oh, I forgot to mention, this definitely felt a bit like Scythe. And I honestly couldn't even pinpoint why it felt like Scythe, but it did. I definitely had vibes through the whole thing. But to me, this was like Scythe carried out even better. Yeah, I would definitely recommend this. And then as for what I'm currently reading, I just started Forbidden by Ted Dekker and Tosca Lee, like not even 50 pages in. And this is another one where, like, what genre is this? I mean, it doesn't, inside it actually says civilization regression is where it's categorized. But like online, I just see it as Christian, but I think it's kind of like probably also dystopian. I'm not far enough to really even say what's going on because the first half of what I've read so far, I felt overwhelmed by the jargon. I don't know if you can catch my kid's sneezes, but he's sneezing, and that's what's going on in the background. The jargon, you know, always in like new books, kind of like fantasy, dystopian, trying to wrap my head around that. That was overwhelming. But I think I'm getting into it now. This is in the future. And they've pretty much rid humans of emotions. And I think I don't really know much more than that. Things are going down. You can't feel fear though. You can't feel love, passion, like nothing. So that's interesting to think about because I feel like pretty much everything people do, it's like crazy windy, pretty much everything someone does is like based on some kind of emotion. So I'm curious to see where this book goes. Okay, and then there are a few things around the internet, actually just around YouTube, that I wanted to talk about. First of all, Shalise from Sodbuster Living totally did a video inspired by my library haul video. And she did, her thumbnail is awesome. It says Chantel made me do it. And she just shares the books that she got from the library and her thoughts on them. And that seriously made me laugh out loud when I saw her thumbnail. Like, oh dear, how am I influencing people? Just getting all the library books again. Yeah, so I would recommend checking out her video. I love hearing her thoughts on the books that she picks out because she always finds books that I've never heard of. And I appreciate her opinions and the thoughts that she has to share about them. The second video, Anne from Elizabeth Ann Reads, recently shared like her TBR with all the different readathons she's doing. But in it, she mentioned that she's going to I think it was called a literary hotel or something like that, where there's like themed rooms for different, based on different authors, I think. First of all, that sounded amazing. And then she shared a photo and it's like this gorgeous hotel on a beach. And I don't even know where this place is, but man, do I want to go there. That sounded so cool. I recently shared my updated TBR cart and then what I'm going to be reading in October. And I have a couple books left to read here in September yet, but I'm getting really excited about October. My next couple videos I'm planning on doing are my library TBR and my Hey Reader-a-thon TBR. So like, I'm so excited to read all the fallish October books. One thing I forgot to add to my October TBR when I was doing my video the other day is, I want to read some Sherlock. My plan is to read a few short stories every October. So this year I'm going to start with, I'm going to skip over A Study in Scarlet and The Sign of the Four because those are his like longer stories and I don't really enjoy those. So I'm going to go into The Adventures of Sherlock. So the first ones are A Scandal in Bohemia, The Red-Headed League, and Case of Identity. And maybe try like doing 3-ish stories every year. That will give me years worth of Sherlock short stories. So I'm going to add this to my October TBR as well. As for Hey Reader, I don't think there's any actual updates for this week other than people are joining the Hey Reader-a-thon. I'm so excited about that. I was like, I'm hoping it's not just me, like me doing this alone. That'd be a little weird, but people are joining and picking really interesting sounding books. I'm so excited. If you are wanting to join in, make sure you head over to the announcement video to find out how to join and how to enter to win a free book. I'm really excited to see how the week goes. I think I'm going to do more of a reading vlog style wrap up that week or those 2 weeks. It kind of follows over the course of 2 weeks the way I did it. Yeah, so I think that's all for this week. Thanks again for watching, guys. I would love to hear a good book that you finished reading recently and what you're reading now.